I was browsing on the internet and came across this designer chair, and I thought it was super cute and decided to recreate it on a 1/6 scale. Let me show you how I made it. Hi, I'm Carol, and I'm a miniature maker, and sometimes I tell stories. Here are the materials that I used. So first I created a template for 1/2 of the chair leg, and I did that off camera, so here is my template, and I'm just transferring that onto these strips of wood. And just a little tip, something I like to do when I'm cutting shallow pieces is I just take a scrap piece of wood or something that is the same size or thickness of whatever it is that I'm cutting, and I use it to kind of brace the piece that I'm cutting. That way the ruler isn't teetering off this shallow piece of material. Once I had all my pieces cut down, kind of gave it a light sanding just to make sure that I didn't catch any splinters from any frayed pieces. And just cut the dowels down to size. You don't really need a long piece. We basically use the dowel to attach the two sides together. That's what the dowel is used for. I just use that little hand drill here to make a little hole, and once you glue them inside, you attach it. And to fill the gaps, I use plastic wood. Didn't really need much of it, just really wanted to make it look seamless. This stuff dries pretty quickly and you can sand it down. It's also paintable as well. So once it's dry, we sanded down the plastic wood just to blend everything in, and that way it's paintable. I'm just measuring out everything that I need here for the entire chair. This one strip alone was just enough for all the pieces that I needed. Just sanding it down a little bit and attaching the frames for the seat and the backrest. And this is the one piece that I actually forgot to mention at the top of the video, which is this little tiny strip of wood here. And what we're using this for is we're making a smaller frame on the inside of both the back and the seat, which is what the perforated paper is going to be sitting on. I think I only used one strip for both frames. So instead of making uniform cuts, I'm just retrofitting it to the frames, just kind of measuring it as I go. You know, give or take, sometimes these things can be off by like a tiny little centimeter or by a hair. So I just felt this was the easiest and best way to approach it, just to make sure that it fits exactly the way it should, where it should. And now we lightly sand the entire frame just to kind of round out the edges on both the seat and the back piece, and also sanding down the front to make sure everything's nice and flush. Measuring and cutting our perforated paper, which will be used as the lattice piece. Now we paint. And as usual, I like to water down the paint a little bit just so that it looks more like stain. Alright, now we're just measuring where the seats go, and I'm marking here where I'm going to attach it. These are the attachment points. And here I am adding some glue to those points and a pin. This is where the push pins come in. When I use these pins, I usually just snap away the X's, and sometimes I get lucky and it doesn't go too far. Other times it just goes flying away. Because that happened a number of times with this build, I got clever and decided to actually wedge the pins between two magnets, and that way it can't go flying away because there's some weight on it. I found that trick to be extremely handy. And we're just assembling the crossbars here. The seat will be resting on these. Installing the arms as well, adding some glue to it. It's a little bit tricky to push it in without potentially risking the pins popping out on the other side, so be careful with it if you're gonna try it. This is why I also turned it around and pushed it into my mat instead, but also helps give me a little bit more leverage and allows me to put more weight on it without risking damaging the legs. And simply just glue in the perforated paper that you cut to size.
No.
I added a little bit of glue here just to make sure, it has something to keep it attached to the frame. Slide in the seat. Adding some pins to the back so that we can just simply push that right into place. And there you have it, the finished chair. Fun fact, these are my actual original art pieces that I turned into miniatures. So I do have these as life-size pieces in my actual space. I really like this chair. I think it's super cute. It's personally my style, and it's something that I would probably have in my own space. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch all the way through and listen to me just blab about a bunch of nothing. But I appreciate your time, and if you found it helpful and enjoyable, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.